Man, if you were watching NXT tonight, you would have seen a great North American Championship match, of course, between the Velveteen Dream and Johnny Gargano. But what you also might have seen at the end of that match was me doing this, and me being the only clown in my section, not genuinely happy that the Velveteen Dream won the North American Championship. Now, this was more of a shocked reaction, because I didn't think Johnny Gargano was going to lose the North American Championship in his very first title defense after just beating Ricochet for it. But it was a great match indeed, and we got another classic from Johnny Wrestling against the Velveteen Dream for the North American Championship. Johnny Gargano is in the news a lot, whether it's good or bad, depending on who you talk to. There's a lot going on with these NXT call-ups on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Monday Night Raw, I was very unhappy about what they did. It felt like a rush job. On Tuesday, I felt the need to just vent on my SmackDown podcast. I felt the need to just vent because it festered and it sat for 24 hours, and I got all this news coming at me about why it's happening. And I got more news today leading into Friday that I'm not going to talk about here. The news of the 4 NXT call-ups, DIY, Ricochet, and Aleister Black, and what Vince McMahon's vision is, how Triple H didn't know, why Vince McMahon called these guys up, what people backstage are thinking, not only management, but talent, more notably the talent that they just recently called up from NXT, with Lars Sullivan, Heavy Machinery, Nikki Cross, EC3, Lacey Evans. The news that I have that is being reported is so nauseating that I guarantee you, every one of you is going to be wishing Vince McMahon chokes on his coffee on Friday morning. Seriously. It is bad. It is just downright fucking disgusting. The shit that I'm reading and the shit that I'm hearing. So I'm not going to go over it today. It's too big to go over it today. We'll save it for Friday. So there's your cliffhanger. But we got a great NXT show tonight. They're actually filming at Full Sail tonight. I don't have any spoilers. They did make one major announcement tonight, and that is the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is coming back. And the winner of this 8-team tournament is going to challenge the War Raiders at the next TakeOver show, WrestleMania weekend, which rumored is going to be called Blackout, or I don't know why that would be, or why they would call it that. NXT TakeOver Brooklyn number 5. It's at the Barclays Center. It's in Brooklyn. So I hope that they just go the more simplistic route with that. But regardless of all that rumor and speculation, the Dusty Tag Team Classic is back. It's coming. 8 teams. We got 4 tonight. The 4 others I do not know of. I'm sure WWE is going to have some sort of surprise. So that is the major announcement that they kind of teased on Tuesday going into Wednesday. So that was the announcement tonight. Now, I thought, and what I was really hoping for, is that NXT was going to be part of the Superstar Shakeup, or NXT was going to be part of this draft, this international shakeup or draft, or whatever the fuck they're doing, on April 15th and 16th in Montreal following WrestleMania. I would love if NXT is a part of the shakeup, because I would love some talent that you're not using on the main roster to be put back down in NXT and just be utilized, or something along those lines. So that's what I thought the announcement was going to be, but the announcement was indeed the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is returning. So we're going to go over what happened tonight on NXT, but I do have some news for you guys pertaining to NXT, minus what we got going on with all 4 of the guys that got called up this week. Now, the one major concern that I have is I feel NXT is about to be purged. And you guys know when NXT was purged last time, it was Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura. Around that time when Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura were fighting over the NXT Championship, NXT was at its weakest with that specific class of wrestler down there. Now, Nakamura and Bobby Roode, I miss Bobby Roode as being a heel, and I thought he was a great NXT champion, and he did a great job down there. But other than that, Asuka was left with nobody in the women's division. Bayley was called up. Bayley was the last one to get called up to join Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte on the main roster. And they really didn't have anybody else in place because Vince pulled who he wanted from NXT at that time. I believe it was around Orlando time, and they took a while to recover from all of that. Now, if what I'm hearing is true, and all four of these guys, the heart and soul, the lifeblood of NXT right now, are pulled on top of who Vince already pulled, NXT isn't as bad as that, but it's going to be very interesting to see who steps up in place. Yes, we got the Matt Riddles, and we got the Adam Coles, we got the Velveteen Dreams, we got all of Undisputed Era. We have Keith Lee. We have, who else is down there? ACH just signed from Ring of Honor. They got Rachel Ellering, who's a part of the new class. Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler still down there. I'm hearing Shane Strickland is being kept secret from everybody. And I'm going to lead into this one story. WWE is keeping a new NXT recruit as a top secret. They also have Kushida coming in from New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I think that they might keep him off until we get to TakeOver as well. But I'm hearing Shane Strickland is definitely coming on in to NXT. Now, WWE, like I just mentioned, received a new crop of recruits at the Performance Center, and they were actually photographed as of this past week. There are some great people that have the ability to get over big time in NXT, but they're not letting fans in on everyone that they have around this time for the February clash. Trevor Lee is another one. Kushida was a big star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and fans of New Japan were pretty shocked to see him leave the company. He didn't make it a big secret that he was headed to WWE, but Vince McMahon's company might have a different opinion of that. Now, Meltzer and Alvarez of the Observer note that Kushida is at the Performance Center, but WWE didn't announce him as part of the February class of 2019. They also did not announce Shane Strickland. I don't know if he's physically there at the Performance Center yet, or if he's still being tied up in contract with Lucha Underground. Or maybe he just changed his mind and he didn't want to go to NXT and he opted to go to maybe AEW instead, or maybe Ring of Honor. I don't know. I don't really know. But Kushida, they're keeping a secret. They didn't put him in with the photograph of the others who are in the February class. Everybody else that I mentioned was there, photographed, Ellering and Trevor Lee. But WWE didn't announce him as part of the February class. It wouldn't be surprising to see Kushida at ringside during NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. We're just going to have to wait and see what their plan is for him as a performer, because Kushida might not need much time in NXT whatsoever. But he's one of those guys that I fear if you put him to do anything on the main roster, that they're not going to use him correctly. I feel that he'll be bound to 205 Live, and that's not what he wants, and that's not going to be the best use of Kushida. He needs to be in NXT, and like Triple H mentioned, some of these guys, when they're brought into NXT, some of them might remain in NXT for the duration. They might not ever make to Raw or SmackDown. So I hope that Kushida is definitely part of their plan moving forward. So NXT really, they're in a good spot. They're really in a good spot. So with Ricochet, DIY, and Aleister Black potentially being called up, it's not like they're starving for talent. The only thing that bothers me is that Vince and his fucking circus do not watch NXT. They don't know what's going on in NXT. They don't know that 3 of the 4 guys have been in some of the best stories, some of the best storylines that this company has ever fucking told. And you're plucking them from what could be the final chapter. So you can't really do that for the sake of what NXT was trying to tell. You can't do that to these 3 guys. You can't do that to us fans who deserve, after all this time, investing our time and emotion into both Ciampa and Gargano. You can't pull them without telling the final chapter. The final chapter here is Gargano winning the NXT Championship. And you can tell that Vince and his circus don't watch NXT. Because if they did, then whatever dissension that Ciampa and Gargano were showing on NXT television would have remained on the main roster. It was like DIY of old on Raw and SmackDown. Some people were telling me that they were still giving each other dirty looks, They didn't look to be giving each other dirty looks to me. They looked to go out there and want to take over, like Ciampa said. They were operating as DIY. There was no, hey, I want the NXT Championship. Hey, I don't need you. Hey, you fucked me over. Hey, this and that. You know? This is the same guy, Ciampa, that took Gargano's wedding ring, spit on it, and threw it into the fucking crowd. I don't understand this shit. This is the same Ciampa that got Gargano fired from NXT. Johnny put his career on the line against Owens to get Ciampa. I don't understand this shit. I really don't understand this shit. Or win the NXT Championship, rather. He put his career on the line to win the NXT Championship, and Ciampa was the number one sole reason why Johnny didn't win the championship and then was escorted out of Full Sail University. Yet there's no dissension with them on the main roster. They're buddy-buddy. Best friends in real life, and Vince probably knows, oh, well, wasn't these two a tag team on NXT? Let's put them in a tag team environment on the main roster, because I don't have any other plans for them. It's stupid. It's fucking ridiculous. And we'll go over all of that, plus so much more, on Off the Script. But Kushida and ACH, Trevor Lee, and Shane Strickland could be plugged in to NXT. Ricochet and Shane Strickland, I consider them one and the same. Shane Strickland's fucking amazing at what he does. So, plugging him in with Ricochet being called up, you know, it's not an even trade, but it's a nice trade-off. ACH, I've called matches for him in House of Glory. I've seen his work in Ring of Honor. The guy's fucking fantastic. Trevor Lee, also great. Kushida, you know, there was nothing else for him to do in New Japan. I could easily see him breaking out in NXT and really being appreciated by that crowd and management there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this February class develops. Keith Lee, it didn't take much time for him to appear on television, and sooner rather than later, he was on television. Same thing with Matt Riddle. So everybody that you see here, yeah, they're in the Performance Center, and after WrestleMania, I guarantee you see all four of these guys, if Strickland is involved, you see all four of these guys moving on into the spring and summer months of NXT. Moving on here. We got more news on NXT. Not much, but I got enough. We have PJ Black, a.k.a. Justin Gabriel to the WWE fans. PJ Black was actually offered a NXT contract, and he turned it down. PJ Black might be better known to you guys, like I mentioned, as Justin Gabriel, the South African, left WWE in 2015 and spent some time in Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground. Now he is signed to Ring of Honor, but he revealed in an interview with Chris Van Vliet, I don't know if I ever pronounced that guy's name right, Vliet. He also went back to possibly ponder about maybe signing with NXT, and he did not do that. Black ended up turning down NXT's deal to return to the WWE. NXT was not the deal breaker, but Ring of Honor was able to offer him a better financial and flexible situation. He says, and I quote, "Right before Ring of Honor, I actually got an offer from NXT. They wanted me to go back there. There were a couple of other offers too, from TNA and other stuff. I chose Ring of Honor because they gave me freedom, and it's a great deal financially. It's only for 12 months. After that, it becomes a 30-day notice deal. I have a feeling it's going to be like 2 or 3 years, but let's see what happens." PJ Black's new Ring of Honor deal is only for a year, but he is also allowed to work for Lucha Underground, which should be back, I hope, for another season. They did mention Season 5, but right now it is in complete limbo. After all, Lucha Underground is currently holding a number of other stars hostage, so at least he's able to get out of that, work with Ring of Honor, and also work Lucha Underground as well. Other stars are being held hostage under contract with no additional seasons within sight at this time. One of the major ones is Ivelisse and King Cuerno. Both of them, I believe King Cuerno is actually suing the people in charge of Lucha Underground right now for obvious reasons. And right now, when wrestling is booming and they're being held hostage and they're being told that they can't go anywhere, that is absolutely disgusting. You could take Ivelisse from Lucha Underground and put her anywhere, and she's going to be a fucking star, man. I love Ivelisse. I think she's great. And she was also with House of Glory as well for one match against Sonya Strong. You could put Ivelisse on NXT. You could put, I'm sure Cody would love, or Brandy, who's in charge of the women's division for All Elite Wrestling. I'm sure they would love to have Ivelisse. So that's just sad. But PJ Black, he signed with Ring of Honor for a one-year deal, and he's also able to work with Lucha Underground when or if they do come back for another season, which would be their 5th season. Former NXT superstar at Impact tapings. Recently, PW Insider reported that former NXT superstar and Sanity member, if you remember, Sawyer Fulton, he was backstage at the last 2 days of television tapings for Impact Wrestling. There were other former NXT talents backstage as well. They were not named in this recent report by PW Insider, but a couple of them actually made it on screen. I guess we'll see when Impact showcases their shows on Twitch, because I don't get Pursuit Channel. I'm sure none of you guys as well. But the other talents that were backstage were Luchasaurus, Lucha Underground talent, also known as Judas Devlin. He worked Saturday night's taping and said that he impressed those in the company very much so. Natalie Osman, who's also known as Buggy Nova, no idea who this is, worked as one of Su Young's Undead Brides. She competed in a 6-woman tag team match alongside 2 other Undead Brides, Su Yung and Dark Alley. So that's what's going on there. Sawyer Fulton, you know, it's great that he found some work for himself, and WWE let him go. He got injured while Sanity was in the midst of their run in NXT. He got hurt. I believe they replaced him with Killian Dane, and then when he was ready to come back, Sanity had already moved on to bigger and better things. Man, what a time that was, huh? Now they're looking back and asking themselves, what the fuck happened? So, you know what? If you really want to look at it, Sawyer Fulton probably lucked out. Sawyer Fulton probably lucked out because he is on Impact Wrestling now. I'm sure he's going to make a small name for himself over there. And now look at Sanity on SmackDown Live. Completely irrelevant. And I still don't know how you have a guy like Killian Dane and he is as irrelevant as could be. So if you really want to look at it, Sawyer Fulton got hurt. He didn't get to jump back into Sanity. They let him go. They released him. He may have lucked out and got the better end of the deal. So there you go. Sawyer Fulton is now a part of Impact Wrestling's roster. Finally, guys, someone who I can't wait to see come back. One of my personal favorites, even though he has me benched on social media. No, I'm not talking about Titus. No, I'm not talking about... Talking about KO, Kevin Owens. Now, this was Big Show, by the way, for the newbies here. We don't like Big Show here. Big Show is get off my TV worthy. Kevin Owens is back. Vignettes of him on WWE television. Kevin Owens was actually at the Performance Center, or is still getting himself ready at the Performance Center, but while there, he is helping out NXT stars with promo work while getting himself ready to return to either Raw or SmackDown. So this is great. And Kevin Owens, we all know, is a great promo. So if the young guys down there need help with their promo work, Kevin Owens is showing them how it's done. While training for his return, Owens has worked hard and he has really lost a lot of weight. It looks great. It's evident in the video packages that we've seen on Raw and SmackDown. Now, sources have said that while at the Performance Center during his training and him getting ready to return to TV, he's been helping more than just himself. He also has been advising some NXT superstars with their promo work. Kevin Owens has loads of experience and wisdom to offer, and if someone is down there learning in NXT and getting their feet wet in the Performance Center, especially on the microphone, you know, Kevin Owens is definitely one of the best that WWE has. So I think that is valuable time for you to learn what you need to learn. So that is great. That's great that Kevin Owens loves, and he was in NXT. He was a part of NXT for a little bit before he got called up to the main roster. Everybody loves NXT, and I hear nothing but great things about the environment down at the Performance Center. So Kevin Owens going down there, you know, while his main priority is to get himself right and right for TV, he's also helping the young kids as well because he knows how important everybody is down there. I wish Vince McMahon knew how important I wish Vince McMahon knew how important everything was down at the Performance Center instead of just trying to ruin it by his fucking sheer stupidity. And again, we'll talk about that on Off the Script. So that is all the news I got for NXT this week. So let me know what you guys think about that. NXT tonight was the final set of tapings for the last set of tapings. Again, tonight they were filming at Full Sail for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I believe, all the way up until the end of March, which would leave one more show before WrestleMania. But NXT tonight at Full Sail University. Show opened up with Aleister Black versus Roderick Strong. This was a one-on-one match that came about because of last week, where Aleister Black came to save Ricochet in that great match with Adam Cole, and he got beat down by the Undisputed Era, and Undisputed Era left both Ricochet and Aleister Black laid out in the middle of the ring at the end of last week's show. So William Regal booked Aleister Black and Roderick Strong this week to open the show. Very, very good match. Very hard-hitting. And I love Aleister Black, man. He looked so great on SmackDown Live against Andrade, didn't he? Now, I don't know what the fuck happened with him being put in the ring against Elias on Monday Night Raw, but, man, it's like night and day. You put Aleister Black in the ring on Raw, and he felt and looked so ordinary. Camera angles were all fucked up. They didn't know or how to know to film Aleister Black's intro or entrance. You know, they got his entrance fucked up. They didn't know when he did that acai moonsault off the middle rope and he goes into his sitting position. They didn't anticipate that. It's like they didn't even know what to expect with this guy. So the little idiosyncrasies of these guys that are brilliant on NXT did not translate so well on Monday Night Raw. He looked completely out of place, ordinary on Monday Night Raw, but on SmackDown Live, he looked like he belonged there. And I can't wait to see what he does. I hope at the end of the day that he ends up on SmackDown Live and not Monday Night Raw. In fact, I don't want any of these guys to go to Monday Night Raw. But SmackDown Live is only 2 hours, so it's going to be very interesting to see how they load SmackDown Live up with the shakeup in April, getting ready for Fox in October. But Monday Night Raw needs desperately a injection of some sorts at the top of the main event scene because they got nobody right now. Absolutely nobody. They could find themselves with 4 new main event players on Monday Night Raw that fit right in. But I do not give WWE the benefit of the doubt in booking these guys correctly because Vince McMahon is hands-on with Monday Night Raw, and we may love them now. We may end up fucking just completely shitting all over them by the end of the year if Vince McMahon gets his hands on them. Aleister Black wins here with a Black Mass. 1, 2, 3. Very, very hard-hitting match. Black went for a moonsault on the outside. Strong stops him on the apron, sends Black neck first into the ring post. That was a really, really brutal spot. Even live sitting there, I was like, holy shit. Strong, then with a step-up knee strike, plants his opponent into the mat, cover only a 2 count. Strong lifts Black, who lands on his feet, and then out of nowhere, Black Mass, 1, 2, 3. Black Mass may be the best finishing move right now in WWE, man. I love how it just literally comes out of nowhere. It is the new RKO. And I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards that with Black being on the main roster. They're going to compare it to the RKO because it literally comes out of nowhere and it could hit at any given moment. And I think with the fan reaction on Tuesday night to Aleister Black, people were chanting NXT, people were chanting for Aleister Black. If they get to see him a little bit more regularly, I'm telling all you fucking cretins on social media, that's your new main event guy in WWE. There's no way that it cannot be. He defeats Roderick Strong, who's great in his own right, here on NXT. After the match, Undisputed Era attacks, but tit for tat. We had Undisputed Era attack both Ricochet and Aleister Black last week. This week, Ricochet comes to save Aleister Black from Undisputed Era, and he takes them all out. So there you go. And they clear out all of Undisputed Era as a duo. Imagine Ricochet and Aleister Black, what they're going to do going into WrestleMania. What if they're a part of the Dusty Classic? I don't know. That would be very interesting, man. We got this nice little duo, this nice little friendly partnership between Aleister Black and Ricochet. Imagine they are a part of the Dusty Tag Team Classic, and they go on to win it all. That could be interesting, man. Ricochet and Aleister Black versus the War Raiders. I'll take it. I'd rather see Ricochet versus Aleister Black one-on-one at TakeOver, which I think that they would do, rather than have them go challenge for the tag team titles. But we'll see what happens. I'm just throwing that out there. We got a highlight package, or video package, of Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marie Shafir in the locker room. They were running roughshod over the Performance Center, women's locker room. They go into the women's locker room and they start, I guess, trash talking everybody else that's there. It took some PC trainers and some management to break them up. Apparently, the horsewomen think that they run everything when it comes to the women's division. And we've seen Shayna Baszler attack, stating that this is their future, holding up the women's championship. When is Shayna Baszler getting called up? That's what I want to know. I don't think the call-ups are done. In fact, Shayna Baszler might not even be needed on the main roster if you really look at it. If they're really merging the women's divisions for these tag team titles, I don't think Shayna Baszler needs to be immediately called up. I would keep her down in NXT for a little bit longer. But I do feel that she is absolutely the next in line as far as the females go to get called up to the main roster. Another one of my females, man, Bianca Belair, love her. She talks about how she could have won the title at TakeOver against Shayna Baszler. Then she mentions Kairi Sane and Io Shirai coming along thinking that they're just going to get a title shot. And Bianca stated that if both of them get in her way, she is just going to take them out. Now, if Bianca wins the championship, then she has no problem showing everybody why that she's undefeated. They're still going with this undefeated storyline, but I'm guessing it's because, like I mentioned last week, Bianca wasn't really pinned. Nobody's actually pinned her shoulders to the mat, so I guess that's why they're still running with this gimmick. She passed out in the Kirifuda clutch from Shayna Baszler, so again, that's why I think they're still going with this undefeated shtick. But Bianca and Io, or Bianca and Kairi, that is the future of your women's division in NXT, folks. Get ready. It's going to be a good one. Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is returning next week, or in 2 weeks, rather, next week. They are going to announce 4 other teams. They left a cliffhanger. They announced 4 tonight, and they're going to announce 4 others next week. Who they are, I don't know. Undisputed Era, the Forgotten Sons, the Street Profits, and Marcel Bartel and Fabian Eichner have been announced for the tournament. So I'm loving it already. The winner will face the War Raiders at TakeOver Brooklyn or TakeOver New York, however they're going to name it, in April WrestleMania weekend, man. I love tournaments. I think this is going to be great. The tag team division in NXT right now has money written all over it. It's the best it's ever looked right now in NXT. I can imagine that we're going to get British Strong Style as well in there. Like I mentioned, a possible pairing of Ricochet and Aleister Black. Maybe DIY. I know Johnny Gargano, when he lost the championship tonight, we had Tommaso Ciampa come out and weirdly say, if you need me, I'll be here. And Johnny said he didn't need him. What if we get a DIY reunion? We're seeing DIY on the main roster. What if they go into the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and win the whole fucking thing? Maybe they're in the Classic, and that leads to them battling for the NXT Championship. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Mia Yim versus Xia Li. I don't know what it is with Mia Yim. I am not sold on Mia Yim. I don't know what it is. I think Mia Yim has the potential to be a breakout star in NXT, but there's something about her that I just can't put my finger on. I'm not clicking with Mia Yim yet. Now, I'm glad she changed up her ring attire. Those spandex pants that she was wearing that kept falling down, she kept pulling them up every second. They thankfully changed that to what looks like black jeans or something along the lines of black jeans with a belt. I guess someone caught wind of it. Thank God. But I don't know what it is, man. I don't think Mia Yim is showing how intense she could really be. And I don't know why they wouldn't allow her to be as intense as we know she could be. There's just something off about Mia Yim. Xia Li, I don't really know much of. I know she was in the Royal Rumble. I don't think she really lasted all that long in the Royal Rumble from what I remember. And if I can't remember, obviously it wasn't that memorable. But Mia Yim wins here in a very quick match. You know, Xia Li got some offense in. They went back and forth. Mia Yim wins via pinfall. She wins via the... It wasn't eat defeat. It was more like a knee, and she dropped down, and the knee connected with Xia Li's neck. I don't know. Protect your neck, I think, is what Mauro Ranallo called it, which is pretty cool that he knew the name of that, or maybe it was just one of them ad-lib lines that Mauro is so great at. Protect your neck is what she finished Xia Li off with. 1, 2, 3. Post-match, just like last week, the horsewomen, Baszler, Shafir, and Jessamine Duke all attack Mia Yim. So it's a 3-on-1 situation. Mia Yim was actually part of the scuffle at the Performance Center in which the horsewomen were arguing with everybody in the locker room. So they came out to attack Mia Yim for whatever reason, I guess a war of words, that the horsewomen wanted to get back at Mia Yim. Out comes Lacey Lane. I believe Jessie was there as well. She was in the Mae Young Classic. I don't know who else was there. But all these women came out. They got their ass kicked. Baszler taunting Mia Yim. She's got her eyes on Mia Yim. Coincidentally enough, they're roommates. So just like Aleister Black and Andrade on SmackDown Live last night, having Zelina Vega in Andrade's corner. Zelina and Andrade, yes, they're a pairing, but Zelina is married to Aleister Black. In this case, Baszler is beating the shit out of her roommate. So, you know, it's nice to visualize. It's like, oh shit, they're roommates, but Baszler's beating the shit out of her on NXT tonight. Baszler's taunting Mia Yim with the title. They lift her up and they got her in a hold, and Baszler connects with a huge knee on Mia Yim, knocking her out. It was, after this happened, it was announced that Mia Yim and Shayna Baszler will go one-on-one next week on NXT. Hopefully we start seeing some of that intensity from Mia Yim. Backstage, we see Johnny Gargano getting ready for his match. Candice LeRae, looking good, comes up and talks to Johnny. Then she sees Ciampa, and she takes her eyes off her husband and looks over at Ciampa and says, "What are you doing here?" So Ciampa says, if Gargano needs any help out there tonight, I'm here. So Gargano says, listen, I won this North American Championship on my own. I'll be just fine. I have everything I need right here. And he's mentioning, or he points over to Candice LeRae. So that's it. Ciampa says, in closing, I'll be watching, as he's hugging Goldie. Now, I've yet to watch this video package that they had with Matt Riddle. He sat down with Jeremy Borash. He is promising to retire Brock Lesnar, and he wants to bring change to NXT. And I think that's great. I honestly think that's great. So I'm going to watch this after I finish recording this, and whatever I seen on NXT tonight, the small little clip with the teaser that they showed with Jeremy Borash, came off really good, man. So I'm looking forward to watching that. Matt Riddle's going to be an NXT champion sooner rather than later. He's going to be the one leading the charge here after what we see with Gargano and Ciampa, Black, and Ricochet getting called up. Matt Riddle is going to be at the forefront of leading the new charge of NXT. Johnny Gargano versus the Velveteen Dream for the North American Championship. Now, you might have noticed me at the end of this thing doing this. It was more of a shocked reaction because I didn't expect Johnny Gargano to lose the fucking North American Championship after just beating Ricochet and probably what will be the match of the year at the end of the year. In his first title defense, we got a new North American champion. Velveteen Dream is the new North American champion. This match started off really slow. I have no issue with that because he's Johnny fucking Wrestling. Johnny Wrestling and Velveteen Dream. A lot of chain wrestling, a lot of feeling each other out. This was a match that built slowly and it hit all the gears that it needed to hit. It was a great fucking match. They went from gear 1 to gear 2 to gear 3, and then they fucking turned that shit up to gear 10 by the end of this thing when it was all said and done. So Gargano, towards the end of this thing, he's toying with Dream. He's working a very slow, methodical pace. And he's healing it up, which was great. And he even played up to the crowd at one point, too, and everybody was loving it. Very mixed reaction to Johnny Gargano. Gargano heads up top. Dream was able to slow him down. Gargano hit some headbutts. I love that Mauro put it out there. It's not usually what we see from Johnny Gargano. He will do anything to keep that North American Championship. he gets punched in the face. There was a punch in the face earlier in the match where, I swear to God, it looked like a fucking tooth or something. It was probably just a huge wad of spit. Velveteen Dream slapped the living shit out of Johnny Gargano. So he got some stiff shots in on Gargano in this match. So Dream heads up, looks for an avalanche Dream Valley driver. He tried this a couple of times in the match. Gargano tries to elbow himself out of this hold. No luck. Dream hits a top rope Dream Valley driver, or a second rope Dream Valley driver. Only a 2 count. Place is going fucking crazy at this point. Dream heads back up top. He looks to be going for the Purple Rainmaker, but Gargano rolls out of the way. That's why they call him Johnny Wrestling, man. He's got a great wrestling IQ. Rolls out of the way. Dream leaps out, and he leaps to the outside, knowing that Johnny's rolling on the outside. Goes for a double axe handle, but Johnny super kicks him in mid-air. Gets caught with a super kick on the outside. Johnny frantically, he knew that this was his moment to win the match. Johnny frantically, after the super kick, sent Velveteen Dream into the steel steps, shoved him into the steel steps, and then quickly after that, brought him to the entrance ramp and did a suplex on the steel. It was a snap suplex on the steel, on the ramp. So Dream gets thrown back in the ring. Gargano is on the apron. He hits a devastating slingshot DDT, the same slingshot DDT that he beat Ricochet with. Nailed Dream, but Dream kicks out. I thought it was over. Morrow thought it was over. Full Sail thought it was over. Again, I was like this. What the fuck? What the fuck is going on here? Gargano's throwing big forearms at this point, getting really frustrated. Dream with a super kick, but Gargano hits him with a discus lariat. He looks for a super kick, and he hits it again. Another super kick by Gargano. But Dream no-sells the super kick. He hits a Dream Valley driver. He rolls through, hits another Dream Valley driver, quickly rushes to the top rope, hits the Purple Rainmaker. 1, 2, 3, new North American champion. Now, during the match, Ciampa was looking on. I don't know where he was. If he was in the back, it looked like he was in the rafters at some point during this sequence that they cut away to. But Johnny didn't want help. And now it's going to be interesting how they go on into the new set of tapings with Johnny losing the championship to Velveteen Dream. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Now, when I was there, they filmed what looked to be 2 different endings. They did the one that you've seen tonight, and they had filmed Johnny coming back to the ring, giving Velveteen Dream the Gargano escape. And Johnny had Dream tap, and he took the North American Championship up to the stage and met Ciampa up on the stage, and they held their titles up respectively. So I don't know what's going on there. It could have been a sequence of, well, maybe they didn't know which way they wanted to go going into the new set of tapings. And like I said, you know, I don't think WWE knew what they wanted to do with Gargano, because all I'm hearing is that it was an on-the-fly, spur-of-the-moment call-up for not only Gargano, but everybody else. I don't think WWE had plans to call Gargano up, so I don't think them taking the title off of Gargano here or there when I was there, this was filmed 3 weeks ago, I don't think they took the title of Gargano there knowing that he was going to get called up. I don't think that's the case whatsoever. I honestly think there's a bigger picture here for Velveteen Dream. He's probably going to be the leader of the new charge here in NXT. I don't know where they go with Johnny. I'm praying that we get some sort of closure here with Ciampa, and it results in him winning the NXT Championship. That's what I really hope. You know, because it wouldn't be the first time that an NXT champion also works NXT as its world champion and on the main roster. Kevin Owens did that, so Johnny could do the same thing. We need some sort of closure. So I don't know if these call-ups are going to be a permanent thing. I don't know if Vince knew what was going on here. Everything right now feels completely chaotic. But all I hope is that we get some sort of final chapter written here before they move on to a new chapter on the main roster. It's only fair to everybody involved, and it's fair to us. It's got to be fair to us. So I don't know what happened here. I'm happy for the Dream. I love the Dream. I just don't really understand why the title was taken off him in his first defense unless this is leading to a bigger story for Johnny Gargano. I don't know. But Dream is the new North American champion. Post-match, Ciampa is looking on, and he looks completely disgusted that Johnny lost the championship when he put himself out there as far as help. You need me, I am there. Johnny said, I want it, I don't need you. So there you go. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here with both Johnny and Tommaso Ciampa. I'm getting out of here, guys. Thank you so very much. NXT, another week of NXT in the books. If you guys want to follow me on social media, please do so. At JD from NY206 on Twitter. Instagram, same deal. JD from NY206. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206 if you guys want to support on Patreon. Make sure you guys go get your t-shirts, man. OTS, Off the Script, official merchandise on bonfire.com. JD's Elite, 113 sold in 2.5 weeks, man. Thank you so very much for supporting. Link will be down in the description below if you guys want to go get yours today. Let's make it 150 for the entire month of February, man. Let's do it. Bonfire.com link is down in the description below. And if you guys want to, go check out all the other content on the channel. The Chamber Review Live, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, which included one of my most best rants of all time, people are saying. The first 20 minutes of the SmackDown Review includes one of my greatest rants of all time. And obviously, if you guys are into the video game thing, I got Resident Evil as well. Part 7 was filmed earlier today, so expect that tomorrow at some point on the channel, man. I am getting out of here. Thank you so very much for all your support. Hit that thumbs up, man. You guys have been slacking with the thumbs up. NXT has not reached 1,000 thumbs up in a couple of weeks, man. Let's reach the goal of 1,000 thumbs up for this NXT review, man. Thank you so very much. I'll see you tomorrow with Resident Evil, or if there's any late-breaking news in the world of WWE or All Elite Wrestling news, I'll cover it for you guys in an OTS Extra. And if not, I'll see you guys on Friday early for Off the Script. Until then, guys, thank you so very much, and I'll see you tomorrow with more content right here on the channel. I'll talk to you guys later.